All right, okay, so please don't type in my calculator, type in random stuff, please, like Wang does. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go into the calculated part on trigonometry. So back in the days, we're not allowed to use calculator. We're gonna do trigonometry without calculator. That was one time. They give you a table and they will actually ask you to find sine of 1 degree or sine of 2 degree, sine of 3 degree. They give you a table. I actually post on Edmodo if you guys are interested to look at it. They're interesting. They're all the way from 90 degrees. Okay, so, but why do we use the sine of 1 degree, sine of 2 degree? There's a reason why we're using that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a triangle. And this is a triangle. This is the first triangle we're going to draw. And there's a data right here. And there's a 90 degrees right here. So here's one requirement for you to use SOHCAHTOA. Okay? So you guys should be writing down the stuff. Not looking at me, I'm like performing circuits or like, there's nothing out, just writing, not even writing down anything. Okay, so what happened is data. If this data, there's a name for this side. Wang, what do you think this side is called?
Opposite.
Opposite, good. So this side is opposite. And Harish, what is this side called? Hypotenuse. And Sophony, what is this side called? Adjacent, right? So adjacent means next to the data. Next to. Okay? Hypotenuse is across from 90 degrees. And this is opposite. We know this already. And we're going to have another one. It's also 90 degrees. And we're going to have a data on top. So Sebastian, are you paying attention? Data's right here. So what is size called?
That would be opposite.
Opposite. And how about this side?
Hypotenuse.
Okay. And how about this side?
Adjacent.
Adjacent, okay. So those are the names. So that you can use all the trig identity. That's why those trig identity comes in place. Sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And you got cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And you got tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So you got those three trig ratio that we can use. So what we're going to do is actually figure out the missing side. But you only need two information to figure out the third information. Usually, three of those information that you're looking at, Lenny, three of those information are either an angle and one side. If you know an angle and one side, you can figure out a third side. So here's the thing: you learn this in geometry, but we are just gonna review a little bit because my question here is harder than geometry. So we're gonna say this side, we're gonna call it, we're gonna have this data, let's say 33 degrees. So we have one information. We only need 2 out of 3 information to know the rest of the information in here. So this is 33, and we say, hey, this side is 5, and I want to figure out what this side is. We're going to call this side x, this side y. Okay, well, let's do that. Okay, so we can say, hey, can we figure out whatever it is? So now, here's the thing. We just have to learn how to use the trig ratio. So we know an angle, and we know one side. Which side do we know?
We know opposite.
We know opposite. Good. So we know opposite is 5. And we know the angle is 33 degrees. So if I want to find an x, which trig function I will use?
A squared.
Okay, so that's a good idea. So a squared plus b squared equal to c squared, but you don't know 2 of the informations. So if you know one of the information, you can use a squared plus b squared equal to c squared, but you don't have that. So then we can use the trig ratio.
Cos.
Why do you use cos? Okay, now first of all, do we have adjacent?
No.
That's y, right? Do we have hypotenuse?
No.
Nope, they both are no. So if I use that, I don't have enough information to get 2 different things that you're gonna try to get. But you can try n for one thing at a time, which is you have to use some trig function that has the opposites. Okay, so which one will be using, Adriana?
Sine.
Why sine? Okay, let's write down. Sine of theta is equal to what? Opposite over hypotenuse, right? So what is theta in this case? 33 degrees? I will write that out like this.
That will be
And phi is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Kevin, you okay? Do you understand? Kevin, you move your seat back up there. We don't let black men sit in the back.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I'm on YouTube. That's like live. Hey yo.
It's okay, no one watches Mr. A either way. That's fine. So, 200 viewers?
Oh my God, that is amazing.
I'm gonna go back and delete it.
That was, oh my.
Wait, that's not racist, right?
Right?
Yeah, because you're not letting the black man sit in the back, so you're including it. It works. It's okay.
That's inclusive.
Yeah.
Mr. We love this one. That's a good thing, boys. Don't let them-
How is this a word?
Now, if you said, why is a black man sitting in the back, that would have been,
Okay.
but you didn't.
So you gotta sit in the front. So we're not racist. Or I'm not racist.
Yeah, there is no white privileges.
This is gonna be trending. This video is gonna trending pretty soon. Kevin, it's all your fault. Okay, that's okay. Kevin, we're tight, right? Okay, so so we have a sine of 30 degree is equal to phi over x, right? So phi over x, then you say, well, how do I get x by itself? Well, first of all, I don't like fraction. So if I don't like fraction, I multiply both sides by what?
X.
X. So then this side multiplied by x is going to be, so I'm going to multiply the x on this side too. So x sine of x is equal to 5. And then I'm going to isolate the x. How do I isolate the x? I'm going to divide it by sine of 33 degrees and divide by sine of 33 degrees. Because this x cancels out this x left with the 5, so now we're going to divide by sine of 33 degrees. So I'm going to get x equal to 5 over sine of 33. So then all you gotta do is type in the calculator, you're gonna say 5 divided by sine of 33, but 9 point what?
9.2.
9.2? Give me 3 decimal place.
1.8.
9.180.
18? Okay. So what you do is, in here, you're gonna get 9.218, and then, there you go, that's your answer. That's
It's
9.218.
like 9.180.
Huh?
It's 180.
It's like 9.180.
A 180, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do I keep it 3 decimal place? Now, some of your calculator might not get the same thing.
How do you get 30 degrees on the calculator?
Just type in 30. So what do you do if you use my yellow one, you have to change the mode. Okay, make sure the mode, you're gonna click on the mode button. Okay, and you're gonna change the measurement of angle to degree. And you're gonna press enter. You're gonna press the enter. Okay, so that way, you're gonna do again, you're gonna do 5 divided by sine of 33 degree. Don't worry about a degree sign, because the calculator already in degree signs right now, because your setting is in degrees. So then you should get 9.180. So my next goal is, I want you to find y now. Okay, so can you try to find y by yourself? Yes.
I'm not gonna get that.
That's what I'm saying, go change the mode. It's already in degree. Okay, so you're gonna do 5 divide
And it's
sine of 33. Tim, can you help out? His brother's me. Anybody need help? Can you find y now? I don't know. You figure out first. I'll tell you it's right. You can use anything, but I will use the 5. Here's the 5 I will use, because the 5 is something I already have for sure. That's the right number. Because if you find the x, using the x to find here, which is probably, answer gonna deviate a little bit. But you're still gonna get a very similar answer, very, very close.
Is it 0.944?
I don't know. I'm gonna go, I think that's kind of small.
Yes, sir. This number is bigger than
Mr.
5. Don't we
Is it
round it to
7.7?
Huh?
6, 8 is bigger than 5. Don't we round it?
Yeah, but we round 3 decimal place, so 3 is gonna round to the 0, which is gonna be 0.
Is it 7.7?
It's probably good. So that, what I'm gonna do is here, right? Lenny, what'd you get? You didn't do it. How to find y? Can you find y for me?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, so x is 9.180?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, 9.
You had to do this, which is really steep. I don't know why. Because your calculator is weird. They actually had to type in shift, drag, that's degree, radian, and radian. Okay, so can you try the next one? So if I want to find out the y, right? Would I be, which function I will use? Trig function.
No.
Pythagorean.
You can use a Pythagorean, but that's a deviant answer. You know why you don't want to use Pythagorean? Because a Pythagorean, you can get a very close answer, but it's gonna be a little bit digit off. The reason why we cut off a lot of digits after here, it's called premature rounding. So if we cut off a lot of digits using that, then that's actually, this answer is gonna affect what the y is, because we already cut off how many digits in the back. So if you use Pythagorean identity, you're gonna get a similar answer. Now let's try to use trigonometry to do it. Cosine, why would you use cosine?
But you need to find adjacent.
Okay, you need to find adjacent, and you have had a hypotenuse. Yeah, so that one is okay, but it still use the deviated answer. What did you use? Tangent. Why I use tangent? Because tangent I don't have to do deviated answer. Now you can use, so we can talk about how three things. Tangent of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, right? Or opposite over adjacent. So what is 33 degrees? That's equal to opposite is 5 over adjacent is y. So I can multiply this side by this side, so it'd be y tangent of 33 degrees equal to 5. Am I doing too fast? Am I divided by 10 of 33 on both sides? Y is equal to 5 over tangent of 33. So let's do 3 decimal places and let me know what happened. What you get?
7.699.
6.7.
No, it's
7.699.
699. And what's the digit after that? 3. So that's going to be 7.699. Now, if we use a Pythagorean identity, what you get?
7.7.
7.7. So the answer is a little bit deviation. Now, this one will be better than the other one because this one I use the value that we know for sure is right. This one, if you use the Pythagorean identity, you are cut off a lot of digits in the back. So that makes that deviate a little bit. Now, so for example, if you shoot a rocket to the moon, you have to be exact precise. You'll use the known value instead of using the value that's already premature rounding. So it's called premature rounding. If I take this value and I round it to 3 digits, and then use that 3-digit value to get the next value, I'm gonna do premature rounding. Question about this part. Okay, now I'm gonna ask you to do this questions right here. I'm gonna ask you to do 2 different questions before I go into the next one. So I'm gonna ask you to do those questions here. I'm gonna have a 90-degree here. I'm gonna have a data right here. Okay? And I'm gonna have 7 right here. And I want you to figure out x and y. So try to figure out what the x and y is, and that's a 90-degree angles. And the data is on the top. And then we're gonna figure out what the data is. Data is gonna be, let's say, 41 degrees. So this one's 41 degrees. I want you to figure out x and y and make sure everybody knows how to do it using calculator. Now some of you guys' calculator are gonna be, so if you are going to AP Calculus next year, then you want to get a similar calculator to me. Or if you're taking college calculus, you need to get a TI-84CE. That's the one I will get.
Is that a 7, right?
That's 7.
I have like a really good scientific calculator that has like everything. I want to show it to you.
Get a graphing calculator. Yeah. Peter, listen to me. Don't go calculus if you're not gonna get a graphing calculator. Get a graphing calculator like I asked you, TI-84CE.
Mister, how do you know if you use cosine?
You have to figure out which one you're gonna use in this case.
You just guess or you just...
No, you don't. You have this one as the opposite of adjacent. You have to think about it. What is this? It's opposite or adjacent?
Adjacent. No, it's opposite.
It's opposite 41. You can find out this way to get this. It's also Now you can, this is opposite. Now if you wanna find out, this one's adjacent, right? So which trig function use opposite and adjacent? Yeah, so try that way and see what you get.
It's 41.
So 41 degrees over there.
Is that?
I got it.
Oh, you are. Oh.
It's 7
Shut
now.
up, shut up, shut up.
I got it, mister.
Shut up.
So using trigonometry, don't use the Pythagorean identity because right now I want you to learn how to use trig identities. SOHCAHTOA, I mean. Kevin, what'd you get for x? Oh, still working on it? Keep on working on it.
Can we round it?
Huh?
Can we round the third decimal or no?
Yeah.
It's 8.05.
I don't know. So, which one I'm gonna find first?
Why?
Y, okay, let's go with the Y. So Y and the 7. 7 is the opposite, and Y is the hypotenuse, right?
Yeah.
So we got opposite is equal to 7, and the hypotenuse is equal to what? We're gonna say equal to Y. So which equation that is it using opposite or hypotenuse? Okay, sine of theta is equal to 7 over Y.
So we did 7x.
So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna multiply by Y on both sides. So on this side, I'm gonna get Y sine of theta. On this side is 7 over Y times Y, and the Y cancel out. So it's gonna be Y 7, well theta is what? 41 degrees. So that's 41 degrees, that's equal to 7. Now I'm gonna evaluate for Y, so Y is equal to 7 over sine of 41 degrees. So what is that?
10.669.
10.669?
669.
Okay, that's perfect. Is that right?
No, because then there's a 7 right after it. So then you have to round it.
So that's 7, 0? Okay.
I thought we're not supposed to round. So do we round the third?
3 decimal places you have rounded.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, I mean, that's not too much point, but I'm not gonna take out like 20 points for that, and just make sure that you get the right number. Okay, so how do you get for x? Kevin, did you get x yet? What trigonometry equation I will use for x? You have adjacent, yes, which is the x, which is what you're looking for. What else do you have? Cosine theta, you can work if you use a 10.67. Now let's just pretend that you don't know this value. That's just looking for x here. If you don't know that value, what would you use? What is it? What? Okay, so let's draw by this one. This one's the opposite, right? So it's 7, right? So opposite is 7 again. And we are trying to find the x. X is what? Adjacent, right? So adjacent is the x. So which trigonometry equation use opposite and adjacent? Okay. So now we're gonna have a tangent of theta is equal to what? 7 over x, right? Now, the theta is 41, so it'll be x tangent of 41 degrees is equal to 7. X equal to 7 over tangent of 41. I don't know what's that.
8.053.
8.053.
053.
So that is the 3 decimal places. Question about this part. Is this hard? No, let's try again. Now, we're gonna try a different situation.
Bet.
So, do you see I want you to tell me what's the difference between this situation and this situation. So, I have this situation here, I'm gonna write on that right here. Well, what's the difference between this situation and this situation? I have this as angle, and I'm gonna have this side is 4, and this side is 5. Okay, so I'm looking for the angle. So, I'm looking for the angle now. So how would I do this question if I'm looking for an angle?
What did you like after?
So then you say, well, which trigonometry is gonna help you find the angle?
So you would go with sine and then divide the sine and then you would get, so it would be like sine theta equals.
The inverse, thank you. So now you're gonna have to use inverse. So if you think about it, it's gonna be which trigonometry I'll be using. Why 10? 10 you need to have this side. You can use 10.
No, it's sine.
Cosine is gonna be needing this, but you can get it because you know it's 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, so you can actually use 3 different ways to do this. I'm gonna show you the first way. The first way is just using the 2 value that's given to me. So what will that trigonometry equation to be using? Sine, right? Sine of theta is equal to 4/5, right? So it'll be 4/5. So then we just had to get rid of sine, but how do you get rid of sine? You cannot divide both sides by sine. You cannot do that. That's not mathematically correct. They are like conjoined twins. They cannot be separated. Okay, they are joined together, but you can get rid of them. They're using a different function. So how do I use a different function to get rid of this? I'm going to use something called sine inverse of sine of theta. So it's sine inverse of 4/5. Now you see this is going to cancel out, so it's going to be theta is equal to sine inverse of 4/5. Then you just have to use a calculator, second sine. So you're going to do second sine 4 divided by 5, and you're going to get an angle. I don't know what an angle is.
53.1.
53 point what?
130.
Okay, it's 53.130. Now, I'm going to ask you to try to find this angle without using subtractions. Okay, without using subtractions. So I want you to find the angle on the top. How would I find the angle on the top?
We can't use subtractions.
Okay, so how would I find the angle on the top? We know the bottom one's 53.130.
I'm sorry, so cosine? Cosine inverse.
Yeah, yours is, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
You look for that, right? You're given your adjacent.
I yawned. I'm not crying.
I got this, but then
I don't know what it is. It's mine. Huh?
No,
Because all you have to do, because now that they, so that this is on. Okay. Okay, so try to use this just 2 information here.
But then wouldn't you have to do the factoring identity?
So I have a what? Everybody, I have this one is 4. 4 is what? Adjacent, right? And hypotenuse. So can I use cosine? You're gonna get same answer. Cosine theta is equal to what?
I don't know.
4/5.
4/5.
Yep, I got it.
And then you're gonna take theta equal to cosine inverse of 4/5, and then you're gonna get a, what angle is that? 38 point something?
36.86.
36 point what?
86. Oh, 86.98, so, actually, 870, 870.
Which doesn't make sense. Why does that make sense?
Because if you,
Those two add together is gonna be what? 90 degrees, so it just makes perfect sense.
Wait. Is that rounding now? Because there's an 8 behind the 9. So it should be 36.86.
which second?
No.
There's an 9 behind it.
There's an 8 behind the 9. So you will round up.
Yeah, when you add it.
Okay, Andrea, have you worked on any question yet? Okay, so what we're gonna do is work on this question. I'm gonna draw it. This is a 90 degrees.
I was gonna say, what did it do?
No, I got it confused.
So this drawing's like this. Okay, so we have this side is 120. 120, and this angle is gonna be give you, let's say, 30 degrees, and this side degree is gonna be 20 degrees. Okay, I want to figure out the x. So can you figure out x? Second situation are different. Second situation are this way. Okay, and this side is 10. This side is 6. And this side is, let's say it's 9. So I want you to figure out this x, and I want you to figure out y, and at the end I want you to figure out x plus y. So I have two situations here.
You got it. Fine.
What do you say Yoda saved? What do you say is Yoda saved?
Because when the you said that we don't want the back.
You saved it?
They said, you say we must send that your if you're catching.
Oh.
There's also two likes. I don't know who the other person liked it.
I'll read my administrator, it's Walker.
Are we actually doing?
Yeah, so we got two questions, the first two questions here.
That's I was laughing, I was thinking of Miss Walker when you said it. It's like, imagine Miss Walker worked that.
It's okay.
Yeah, she would laugh.
That's a good series.
You're not allowed to say that, Mr. Ye. But it's okay.
At first I thought you were stuff, and when I talked to her, she's very nice, like,
She's ready.
Oh, wow. So that's
Then I like that.
No, yeah, I got it.
Oh, gosh.
Now you gotta think how to solve the big X. The big X is composed of two lengths, and maybe it help if you find two of those different lengths. Okay. The second one is two different angles, and the angle X and angle Y. There's a different way to get it, and you have to figure out what's the best way to get those angles, and you should be done. Everybody in this room need to be able to get to this too. So they are like kind of like 4 questions right there.
Okay. So wait, 10 is equal to 10 on the other side. So, que so, mi so, ¿qué te pasa?
No, that won't work because then no longer is 90 degrees.
Te mato.
So you need to have a 90 degree using Sokotoa.
Aquí vale, que me está hablando así. ¿Cómo conoces mi vale?
Andrea, can you work?
Yeah, yeah.
Ok, entonces 10. Would be cosine 10.
Yeah, it is completely wrong. Lenny, are you working or are you just playing with the calculator, typing random stuff in there?
Everybody going on?
Hey, at the 9637, put 9634 or 9634.
That one I'm not really picky about. If you round it wrong, I'm not gonna give you a penalty for that. But just give it 3 decimal place.
What's the 6 squared times? Wait, 6 squared plus 6 squared is 36.
I did cosine for the angle 30.
What is 117 squared?
I want to see if I'm doing it right today. I have the X for the triangle and I have the X for the bar. And I don't have the X for the thing.
I'm just trying to figure out how long this is. Right?
I'm gonna just add that.
What I did was I broke it up.
If you did it right, the first answer should have been. I'll write it here, so. The first answer should have been 1.
You know that kid had a knife. He shook us out 3 times. 9 pitches.
Is this right? I'm not that.
Whoa.
What's the answer? Why are you using
For the first angle, it should be 1.
opposite? You don't have the opposite. Okay, but you don't have hypotenuse. You don't have both. You need the one information. You use 1 point. So you cannot use sign. Oh, so the first one is
You know what I did here? I did cosine.
And 1 is the 1 you
Es opposite.
Yo soy el mundo.
You can get the equal here.
Ay, te gusta porque ok.
How much time I have? How much time I have? Did you get an answer? Did you get an answer? Okay, so I'm gonna do this one. Everybody pay attention here. This one is, we call this side is x1 and this side is x2. Now I have 120 in x1, so I'm gonna use tangent because that's opposite and adjacent. So it'll be tangent of theta is equal to tangent of 30 is equal to x over 120. Does that make sense? And the tangent of 20 is equal to x2 over 120. So x1 is equal to 120 tangent of 30. If I multiply both sides by 120. x2 is equal to 120 tangent of 20. So I can add a x1 plus x2. The answer is going to give me 112.958.
Hurry, you're fucking.
985. Now I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use the arc10 because we're trying to find the angle x. So it's going to be 10 over, so it's going to be tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, right? So in this case, tangent of x is equal to 6 over 10. X equal to 10 inverse of 6 over 10.
Which equals 30.
Now y, so this one's 9 and 6, so that's opposite. So the sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of y is equal to 6 over 9.
6 over 9.
So y is equal to sine inverse of 6 over 9. So if you add x plus y in this case, it's going to be 72.774.
Yeah, 72.
Good luck on
Yeah,
that.
got it. Yeah, thank God.
The people not here for half of the class. I can only teach them one.
So Mr. On the test, we're gonna be able to use the calculator?
Yeah, but you have to write down the work. If you don't write down the work,
So is this good?
Ugh, this time I actually. Well, yeah, I
Did you finish,
passed.
son?
Yeah, I did.